My kid took a seat on the edge of the couch, swinging her legs, hopeful eyes shining. She tore open the covering around her relative's gifts, paper flying, yelling with delight, laughing. One of them unwrapped a glittering gift. Another held a pink tablet, leaping up and down with joy. A drone buzzed in the air, controlled by a remote. The room was giddy with anticipation. And Maya just watched. She waited patiently for her turn, grinning quietly, trusting, because in her world, grandmothers adore their grandchildren. The gifts arrive in lovely bows, with names handwritten on the tags. I kept searching for hers. Under the tree, on a tag, in a bag. It had to be there. When the final gift was handed out, she was still sitting, empty-handed. She looked up at me and whispered softly, "Did Grandma forget me?" I turned to Margot, my voice low. "Was there another one? Maybe it got missed?" Without hesitation, Margot said it wasn't truly family. Her voice carried no apology, no shame. Crisp, concise, as if she were just stating a fact, as if adoption made Maya different. Maya listened. She didn't cry. She just nodded, like it made perfect sense, like that explained everything. Then she looked down at her hands, clasped tight in her lap, trying to take up less space. I swear it felt like someone knocked the air out of me. My lips parted to speak, to say anything, but I was frozen. Worst of all, nobody else looked up. None of the cousins said a word. My sister-in-law turned away. Caleb sat beside me, jaw tight, eyes locked on his mother, but he didn't speak. We went through the motions at dinner. Maya didn't bring it up again. She didn't ask. She didn't cry. She never used the word forgot. Later that night, back in the guest room, Caleb opened his suitcase. He pulled out a manila envelope, looked at it for a moment. "I brought it in case," he said quietly. "In case she did something like this. I hoped I wouldn't need it." He left the house alone just after midnight, carrying the folder in his hand. I didn't ask what was inside. I didn't have to, because whatever he said, whatever she read, Margot didn't laugh the next morning, and she didn't call Maya, not once. This happened last Christmas. It was supposed to be one of those big family events, picture perfect, crackling fire, matching pajamas, kids running around, cider on the stove. Margot's house looked like a Pinterest board, festive, over the top. She folds napkins into trees, writes names on chalkboard cheese labels. She's that kind of hostess. And she's Caleb's mother. We've been married 10 years, met in college. He was calm, considerate, the quiet one. But always the one who heard me, who knew what I needed before I said a word. We fell in love. We dreamed of a family. But it wasn't easy. 4 miscarriages in 4 years, 2 failed IVFs, so many silent nights. Hearts full, hands empty. Eventually, we turned to adoption. Our backup plan became our best decision. We met Maya when she was 5. The first time she held my hand, she didn't say anything. She just slipped her tiny fingers into mine as we walked through a park. That was it. I knew. She was my daughter. Maya lights up every room she enters. She loves painting, especially animals. She names the squirrels in our backyard. She laughs at her own jokes, even when no one else gets them. She is soft, gentle, thoughtful in a way that sometimes hurts. From the moment she came home, Caleb was her father. Not a foster father, not a stepfather, just Dad. And me? She called me Mom on her own. One night while I was brushing her hair, I cried. I didn't correct her. I never wanted her to feel like she was anything but ours. But that didn't mean everyone felt the same. Margot was polite, distant. When she met Maya, she didn't say anything cruel. Not at first. But she didn't ask about her favorite color, didn't ask what she liked. didn't make the same effort she did with the nephews. I kept hoping she'd come around. Caleb was cautious. He knew his mother better than I did. Still, that year, when Margot invited us all for Christmas, we accepted. 6-hour drive, trunk full of gifts and snacks. Maya was buzzing with excitement. She made handmade cards for each relative. She brought her favorite dress. She wanted to look grown up. I remember glancing at her in the rearview mirror, humming carols, clutching her stuffed fox. And I remember thinking, this year will be different. She will feel it. She will feel like she belongs. The house was warm, loud, busy. Maya ran to hug her cousins. Margot patted her head, like she would a neighbor's kid. A little too cool, a little too distant. But I smiled anyway, held on to hope. Maybe love doesn't come easy to everyone, but that doesn't mean it can't. We helped with dinner. Maya passed out reindeer cookies. Everything looked perfect. Until the next morning, until she sat beside the tree. Kids opening gifts in a circle, happiness spilling from wrapping paper. And she sat, hands empty. I kept thinking, maybe hers is still under the tree. Maybe it's in the guest room. Maybe it's hidden. But then the pile shrank. 10 gifts, 6 kids, 5, 3, none. None for Maya. She turned to me, whispering, "Did Grandma forget mine?" I stood up, went to Margot. "Hey, is there one more for Maya?" Margot didn't even flinch, didn't blink. She's not really family. Silence, not shock, but complicity. Someone played with a ribbon. Someone else cleared away paper. Nobody looked at Maya, and I saw her face. She didn't cry, didn't ask why. She just blinked, slowly. Then she nodded, a tiny, invisible nod, as if she understood something she should never have to understand. Knelt beside her, my hands trembling. "You did nothing wrong," I said. She nodded again, forced a smile. "It's okay, Mommy. Maybe next year." I don't know how I didn't fall apart right there. Caleb didn't move, didn't speak, just stared ahead. Jaw clenched. I kept waiting for someone to say something, to speak up, to call it out. But no one did. And I was furious. Not just at Margot. At every adult in that room who chose comfort over courage. I wanted to scream, grab Maya, walk out. But I stayed, frozen in place, trying to balance honor with damage control, trying to figure out how to protect Maya without letting her see me fall apart. Later, as the noise died down, the adults returned to coffee and screens. I watched Maya slip away. She curled up in a corner, holding her stuffed fox, eyes fixed on the floor. She didn't ask for her gift. Didn't ask why. She just smiled when someone looked at her, a fake, polite little smile. And something cold settled into my chest, a burn I couldn't shake. But Caleb had seen enough. He made up his mind, and he wasn't going to let that silence last one more day. Over the years, I've forgiven it, since it was simpler. But not this. I stayed motionless, saying, with Maya. I had never seen him in that state before. He wasn't shouting. He wasn't trembling. He was simply stable. "Last," he said. "What's that?" I inquired. He gave me a manila folder. It was a legal document, notarized and revised, designation of willed trust, and the official adoption record for Maya. "She's," he said, "not just our daughter by heart. On all legal documents, she is our daughter. I included her in the home, the savings, the insurance. My family has complete faith in her. She's my daughter in every manner. The law acknowledges that." I gazed at him. "You did all this?" "I started the paperwork months ago," he said. "I wanted to formally announce it. I just didn't inform anyone yet. And I wondered whether my mother had ever gone too far. I felt my knees become feeble. Then, what will you do? I asked. He glanced at the clock. Midnight. I'm going to show her, he said, putting on his coat. Show her who Maya is. I made no attempt to stop him. I didn't tell him to stop worrying. I simply sat down on the bed. After nodding, I heard the front door open. Suddenly, I'm not sure what Maya expected. Right behind him. When he arrived, she thought it was unexpected. Don't know if she anticipated a discussion or a debate, but I do know she was surprised. As he walked in with the folder, he entered her home, his home from childhood, and sat opposite her at the kitchen table. I'm not here to yell, he said. I'm here, even if it's just to apologize, to provide you with an option. He slid the folder across the table. She opened it, and he observed her expression as she read. Maya's name appears in all legal documents, he said. That is important. If you want to maintain acting like she is not your family, that's your option. But if that's what you want, then I'm not your son anymore. I refuse to raise my daughter in a household that treats her like a guest. She attempted to stop him. He refused to let her. He explained to her how Maya clapped for her family, how she hugged her grandmother, how she fell asleep with questions about what she did wrong. You've got one chance, he said. One chance to make this right because we'll be somewhere else for Christmas next year. Then he got up and walked away, returned to our room. He just lay there, down next to me, grasped my hand, but I didn't sleep. I gazed at the ceiling, like Maya. I thought about how many times I had maintained harmony, at the cost of my child. But that evening, something changed. Something changed between us both. We wouldn't allow silence to shield us anymore. Not by being nasty. And for the first time in a long time, I thought we were in agreement. Not only as husband and wife, but as parents, the type that show up when it counts. The following morning. The house felt odd, quiet, but not in that peaceful vacation kind of way. It was tight, rigid, the kind of quiet you get when everyone is pretending like nothing happened, but knowing that everything did. Maya sat with a cup of hot water at the kitchen table. She stirred it gently, eyes humming softly to herself. They were brighter than the night before. I was about to ask if she wanted to take a walk, when we heard a knock on the guest room door. Margot didn't appear to be herself, the usual composure. The tight smile. Gone. She looked smaller, quieter. Can I come in? She asked. Caleb didn't respond. I nodded. She entered with a medium-sized silver package, wrapped, no ribbon. She approached Maya, leaned down, placed it gently next to her chair. I forgot this yesterday, she said. Maya glanced at the box. Then, at her. Her hands didn't reach for it. Margot cleared her throat, her voice worn out. I'm sorry. I was wrong. She didn't lie to me. I lied to myself. I allowed my mind to persuade me that family is only blood. But you have loved me more than I deserved from the very beginning. Maya looked at me. I nodded gently. She carefully opened the package. Inside, a set of professional watercolor paints, a new sketchbook, and a card. She opened it, silently read the words. Her lips moved, but I couldn't hear. You want me to draw? She asked, looking at Margot. There was something in Margot's eyes. I thought she might cry. No smile, no reunion, no grand gestures. Just a simple, okay. But that okay meant everything. After Margot left the room, I turned to Caleb. He didn't look proud. He just let out a breath, sat beside me. Do you think it'll last? I asked. He shrugged. I'm not sure, but it's a start. That evening, Before bed, Maya drew in her new sketchbook. Two tall girls holding hands. Behind them, a woman and a man, a tree, a house, the sky, a cheerful sun. She titled it, Home. She showed it to Caleb. He kissed her forehead. And that's who we are. A few days later, after we drove home and unpacked, a tiny envelope appeared in our luggage. No return address, only Margot's handwriting. Inside, a photograph. A 5-year-old Caleb, holding his mother's hand. On the back, written in neat cursive, "You fight for your family. Thank you for fighting for yours." I never expected a miracle from her, and I still don't. Margot is proud, stubborn, raised with a definition of family that didn't allow much room for change. But Caleb, he drew a line. Calm, clear, without shouting. He didn't embarrass her. He didn't threaten. He told the truth and gave her a choice, and she chose Maya. That one choice changed everything. Because when your child is finally seen, not as someone to tolerate, but as someone to cherish, the weight you didn't know you were carrying lifts. Christmas didn't end with music or fireworks, not some teary movie finale. It ended with a paintbrush in the hands of my daughter and a grandmother, learning how to become one. During the drive, we didn't speak much, not out of conflict, but out of peace. The kind of peace that only comes after something big has passed through you and left you standing. Maya was stronger, different. She slept in the back seat. I glanced at her sketchbook, saw the same picture, but now there was a tiny new figure standing nearby. Silver hair, not quite in the center, but close enough to be included. I didn't ask who it was. I didn't have to. Life resumed. School, work, painting. Every afternoon, Maya sat at the kitchen table, drawing, page after page, animals, trees, girls who looked like her. One day she drew a fox at a kitchen table, a teapot beside it. "That's Grandma," she said, grinning. "Still learning, and maybe that's what stuck with me. I don't think Margot changed overnight. Not everything becomes perfect. But Maya, she gave her a room to try, even after being turned away, even after feeling invisible. She cracked the door back open, offered, love another chance. Kids do that, in ways adults sometimes can't. I still think about it. That moment in Margot's living room, her sharp voice, and the quiet that followed. I think about all the times I stayed seated when I should have stood up. How? I convinced myself that peace was more important than pain. But that day taught me something new. Peace without truth is just a facade, and my daughter lost something because I played along. Her sense of belonging, even if just for a moment. That's something I'll never risk again. Since then, things have changed. Slowly, Margot calls more gently. She asks about Maya's artwork, sends tiny handmade cards, sometimes awkward but sincere. One card said, "I'm proud of how you see. You've expanded my world." And for now, that's enough. Not because we erased the past, but because we're finally honest about it. When Margot visits now, she brings presents. She makes an effort, which means more than anything wrapped in glitter. I used to think family was just who raised you, who you shared DNA with, or who you married. But now I know. Family is who sees you at your hardest and says, "You belong to me." No conditions, no exceptions. Sometimes it takes drawing a line, quietly, clearly, for people to finally notice what's right in front of them. He didn't raise his voice. He raised his daughter. Love is action, and sometimes silence can be louder than cruelty. Maya reminded me, even after being hurt by someone, you can still choose grace. Not for them, but for yourself. Because you deserve to be loved without question. And now, Maya feels that. even from her grandmother. So when people ask, "How was your Christmas?" I say, "That was the year something broke and something better started." The year my daughter learned that love isn't about being picked once. It's about being picked again when it matters most. Thank you. Thank you for hearing our story. If this reminded you of something you've experienced or something you're still working through, know this: you are not alone. Families are complicated, but you are valuable. You don't have to earn your place at the table, and if you're raising a child, whether biological, adopted, or chosen, don't let anyone make them feel like they don't belong. If this story meant something to you, please love louder, share it. Leave a comment. I read everyone. And if you're new here or want more honest, unfiltered stories like this, subscribe, ring the bell. And thank you. Thank you for seeing Maya and for choosing to be kind. Until next time, take care of you.